Welcome back to the Keiser Report. Time now to go to Auckland, New Zealand. Speak with DotCom and his lawyer, Ira Rothkin of TechFirm.com. Many of our guests, of course, need their lawyer when appearing on our show, especially when taking on the entire Hollywood IP cartel industry. Kim and Ira, welcome to the Keiser Report.
Hello, Max.
Hello, Max. Thanks for having us.
All right, great. So, DotCom. You've got a tweet there on your tweet stream up at the top. It says, quote, "I never lived there. I never traveled there. I had no company there, but all I worked for now belongs to the U.S., end quote. For those that don't know your circumstances, how you got to tweet this tweet, tell us a little bit about that.
The United States has indicted me for copyright infringement, even though I'm not directly charged with that infringing of files. They say I'm responsible for the infringement of former Mega Upload users. And they are trying to extradite me from New Zealand. And because I use my treaty rights to fight extradition, a US court has found that I'm now a fugitive. And under the fugitive disentitlement, they have forfeited all my assets, which now belong to the United States government. And that's what the tweet is about. I have lost all my assets without any trial, without any hearing. I've never been to the United States, and yet that's what happened.
Yeah, now I've been following your case for a few years now because going back now 10 or 15 years, I became very interested in the work of Lawrence Lessig here in the United States, who took on the Supreme Court in a famous copyright case. The issue of copyright is unresolved in the U.S. Many would argue that the way the MPAA and Hollywood interprets copyright is completely against the Constitution, and I would agree with that. And the thought of a perpetual copyright, which is sought by Hollywood and other of the intellectual property industries, is completely inconsistent with the human rights. So this is why I first became interested in your case. Now, Ira, this quote, fugitive disentitlement, which is a phrase we're hearing now, what is this? How does it relate to DotCom's case? How does the U.S. even have jurisdiction in this case, Ira?
Well, fugitive disentitlement is this draconian doctrine that Congress gifted to the Department of Justice that in this situation basically says, under their view, that if you go ahead and oppose extradition, and here as a New Zealand resident, we're going to go ahead and punish you by taking all of your assets, so that if one day you come up to the United States, you'll have no money with which to defend yourself. And DotCom is involved in the largest criminal copyright case in history. And we have a very productive defense going on here in New Zealand. There's even a safe harbor for internet service providers against any kind of criminal claims. The United States, not liking that, now has gone ahead and used the fugitive disentitlement doctrine, taken all of DotCom's assets, and so if he comes to the U.S., there will not be an even playing field. So this is offensive to any type of justice, and it's part of a triangle of destruction that the United States uses as a game plan, from making up laws, which they did in this case, to having secret government proceedings, which they did in this case when they took down Mega Upload with no lawyer from Mega Upload present. And the third part of that is forfeiture, which they're doing right here.
And there's another crazy thing to add, Max, if I may, and that is, even though we have court orders from courts in New Zealand and in Hong Kong where my assets are, because my assets are not even in the United States, and these court orders allow me to withdraw some of that money for legal expenses and to defend myself in New Zealand and in the multiple cases that I have around the world. And even though we have these court orders giving me access to funds to pay lawyers, the United States government tells my US lawyers, if you receive any of this money or if you accept any of this money, you yourself are committing a crime, and that's why I can't even pay my US lawyers or US experts to defend myself, which is, you know, a really unethical strategy by the United States to prevent me from having a fair defense.
Ira, if .com loses, who else loses? And when he wins, let's say, who's the winner? What's the biggest issues at stake here, Ira?
Well, there are multiple issues at stake. I'd have to say that the claims made against Kim.com and Mega Upload, distilled to its essence, is whether or not the United States can hold a cloud storage provider criminally responsible for the infringing acts of users. That's what's known as secondary copyright infringement. And there is no criminal statute for secondary copyright infringement in the United States. We asked Professor Lawrence Lessig, who you mentioned earlier, to provide an opinion. And he's a Harvard professor, and he wrote an opinion that was admitted into evidence here in New Zealand, where he basically said that the United States criminal case lacks merit and is unreliable. And so what we have here is a situation where this can go out and affect any user-generated content site, from Google to Facebook to Dropbox and others. So if Kim.com loses, it will have a chilling effect on user-generated content sites, on internet economics, and it would elevate Hollywood's economics over those of technology companies. And that appears what's going on right now is the DOJ is favoring Hollywood over Silicon Valley. And in the end, you know who loses? Consumers lose, because internet services will cost more, there'll be fewer selections, and there'll be fewer choices for user-generated content sites. So there's a lot at risk right here.
Yeah, I mean, getting back, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, so this is basically SOPA through the back door. You remember that famous law that they were trying to pass to make internet service provider the policeman for Hollywood and the content cartel, right? So SOPA failed, but if they win in my case, every internet service provider will be forced to police the internet and to police their users to not end up in the similar situation like myself.
Right. I mean, this is going back to Lawrence Lessig's work, this body of work that talks about copyright. It becomes a First Amendment issue. Here in the United States, First Amendment freedom of speech is being challenged by this Hollywood copyright extremists, some are calling them, who claim that, any speech is owned by us. Your attempt to engage in free speech is chilled, because we actually own, through copyright, those words. You can't use words like freedom. We own that word. And it's become absolutely egregious and far-reaching. And the fact that they can reach out to New Zealand and send a SWAT team. And I listened to the stream last night. You were talking about the illegal search and seizure issue. They sent a SWAT team to your house to break all kinds of statutes. For what? Because you wanted to engage in what some would argue is fair use of copyright, which is
Max, we could prove that. You don't have to. It's not even theoretical. When this case started in January of 2012, the first thing the United States did was they went in on a secret proceeding where no lawyer for Mega Upload could be present, where no lawyer could tell a judge, hey, wait a second, there is no such thing as criminal secondary copyright infringement. And you know what they did? They took down the entire Mega Upload site, not just alleged infringing works. They took it all down, from wedding photos to Microsoft Word documents to all sorts of First Amendment protected speech. And it stayed down. They've done nothing to give consumers and other users of Mega Upload access to their First Amendment protected information. And when that raid happened, the First Amendment was injured, and it was injured irreparably. So as we sit here today, all that data is lost from consumers, and all that speech is gone from the internet, and that's the result of a secret government proceeding without us being present.
Right. I mean, the current leader of the MPAA, Chris Dodd, who has been involved in a lot of dodgy deals going back. I had experience with him in Hollywood Stock Exchange in Los Angeles. Bart Chilton agrees with me, by the way, that he was completely compromised and acted in a venal, self-interested way outside of what would normally be legal norms. They think they're Arnold Schwarzenegger. Jack Valente, the former MPAA, he thinks he's Bruce Willis. They don't know where their manhood ends and reality begins. They're completely traipsing over free speech, all these legal proceedings. Now, Kim.com and Ira, You guys are set up, along with our friends over at Bank to the Future, to do a funding for your next round, because entrepreneurs got to be entrepreneurs, despite what Chris Dodd might think. It's called Bitcache and Mega Upload 2.0. We got a couple of minutes. Can you describe what's happening here?
So let's start with Mega Upload 2.0. It's obviously another cloud site where users can upload files. We will cache these files and make them available for users. And they will be fully encrypted in transit. They will be encrypted by a third-party provider who then provides them to MU2, that's the short name for it. And then, we will not know our users. We will not know the contents of the files. We'll not even have an upload IP address for any files uploaded to the service. So it will be the most private cloud system ever invented. And then on top of that, we'll have a solution called Bitcache, where every file transfer is linked to a microscopic Bitcoin transaction. So we're utilizing the blockchain, we're utilizing this new digital currency and linking it to every file transfer. It's kind of like an affiliate program. And the combination of those two things, I think, will break new ground.
Right. The interest in this has already been quite robust all over the world. And I think you're looking to launch a product, part of this product, in the early part of 2017, correct?
Yes. Okay.
And you've invited me to that party. Is that correct?
You are coming to the party.
No, we're gonna be there a lot earlier. The live stream, you guys had a win by having the live stream available to everybody for this proceeding for the next few weeks. So, Ira, what can we expect for the next few weeks from the live stream? Why is it important? And what exactly are you guys discussing in the courts over there in Auckland?
I think you're going to see a trail of government abuse. You're going to see that the United States came to New Zealand, got involved in a raid. A copyright is not even an extraditable offense under the treaty. You have a safe harbor, which is called 92B, which applies to ISPs from any criminal liability. You have laws here in New Zealand that do not make any kind of species of alleged infringement, even a crime. And the court's going to hear all this. We think that other courts in the past have gotten it wrong. We feel very optimistic that if you just apply the black letter law that's here in New Zealand, Kim.com and the others will prevail. So we look forward to the entire world shining a light on this government abuse through this live stream. And this is exactly how democracy should work. And we're very optimistic. And it shows Kim.com's innovative mind and brilliance to go ahead and use the internet as a way to actually show the world what's going wrong with the government in an internet case.
Right. I think people should understand when they look at the technology space and the entrepreneurial space, Bill Gates is a twice convicted predatory monopolist. He's now worth $80 billion. Steve Jobs was breaking the law when he started his career as a phone phreaker. You can look that up on the web and find out what a phone phreaker is, but that's how he got started, breaking the law in clear-cut case. So entrepreneurs and high-tech folks, they challenge the system. They break new grounds. They shatter paradigms. Kim.com is a proven technology wizard who's been ahead of the curve and done fantastic things. Now he's run up against the legacy, old guard, the MPAA, the copyright extremists. We all benefit if he wins because it's a free speech item and it's a technology item and it's about the future. And we're out of time. So, gentlemen, thanks for being on the Keiser Report.
Thanks, Max.
Thank you, Max.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Keiser Report. With me, Max Keiser, and Stacey Herbert. I'd like to thank our guest, Kim.com, and his lawyer, Ira Rothkin. If you'd like to get in touch, tweet us at Keiser Report. Until next time, bye, y'all.